Yes, we are live. Namaste and welcome to Pramanic Astrology. Today we are doing this live stream for Aries Ascendant and all planets. What is the purpose of this? I often get questions regarding the planets. When we are doing the planets through houses series, we often get the questions like, I have Jupiter in this house. So whether it's good or not bad, it is ruling my 12th house, it is ruling my 8th house. Okay, so in this series I'll be conducting 12 videos, 12 live streams every morning at 7:30 a.m. IST, and we'll talk about each ascendant. And I will take the questions on the community tab, and we'll talk about those questions as well. So before we go to the questions on the community tab, something about the Aries Ascendant. Aries Ascendant has that element of Mars, because Mars rules the first house of the Aries. So we have already made videos on Aries Ascendant and Bhavat Bhavam for the first house. And you should always check the ascendant of your chart, and then also look for the Bhavat Bhavam for each of the houses. That will help you to fine tune your understandings with your chart. In Aries Ascendant, Mars rules the first house as well as the 8th house. Venus rules the 2nd house and the 7th house. Mercury rules the 3rd and the 6th. Moon rules the 4th. Moon and Sun rules the 5th house. Okay, and Jupiter rules the 9th and 12th, and Saturn rules the 10th and 11th house. So whenever you have conjunctions, these conjunctions bring in the energies of the houses ruled by these planets. Okay, if you have Sun and Mercury conjunction in your birth chart, but what is your ascendant makes a difference, because the lordship of the Sun, lordship of the Mercury is dependent on your ascendant. Let's say you have Sun and Mercury conjunction into, and you have Pisces ascendant, then it goes into ruling the 6th house and the 2 of the Kendra houses. Suppose you have the Aries ascendant, you have Mercury is ruling the 3rd and 6th, and Sun is ruling the 5th house. So it changes the dynamics, the placement of that conjunction, the lordship of the conjunction, depending upon your ascendant. Now you are going a step further with this. Not only you're considering the lordship of the planet, the potentials of the planet, but you're also considering the ascendant. Okay, those planets who rules 2 houses, they have to be examined carefully, and we should not conclude anything based on just one part of the chart. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the Aries ascendant and the planets, and what is the best conjunction for the Aries ascendant, and what are the conjunctions which are bringing in the yogas for the Aries ascendant. Okay, so let's talk about this first, and then we'll jump to the questions. For Aries ascendant, the Kendra houses are ruled by, first is Mars, 4th is Moon, 7th is Venus, and 10th is Saturn. So whenever you have a planet, a malefic planet rules your Kendra house, it tends to give a good result. Okay, but if that planet is ruling the 2 houses, you also have to look for the other house, and there are many rules around this, maybe around 10 to 20 rules to consider before we really think about any predictions. So don't just jump to the conclusion, just try to understand what's happening in your own chart. That will help you to understand this ascendant better. In this video, we are not going to talk about how would be your first house and what are the characteristics of it. We have already talked about this in our Aries Ascendant video. We are not going to repeat this here. This stream is specifically about the planets, specifically about which planet will bring in what kind of energy. Okay. Excuse me. So Kendra is ruled by 1, 4, 7, 10. And the most important planets for any ascendant are the trinal lords. The Lagna is trine as well as Kendra. But 5 and 9, house number 5 and house number 9, and their lords are most benefic for any of the Lagna. Okay, so let's talk about Aries Ascendant. What is the first house lord? Is Mars. Okay, and what is the fifth house lord? It's Sun. And what is the ninth house lord? It's Jupiter. But Mars is also ruling the 8th house of the horoscope. Jupiter is also ruling the 12th house of the horoscope. And now here comes the confusion. People often get confused, like whether my 9th house lord will give a good result or a bad result. Whether my Mars will give good results, auspicious result, being the Kendra as well as the trine lord, or will it give me difficulty because it is ruling the 8th house. So here's the thing about the 8th house and the 12th house lords. The 8th house, 12th house, and the 2nd house, to some extent, these lords are also give results as per their association. Okay, so we will talk about this later in this stream. But remember this: Jupiter is ruling the 9th house and ruling the 12th. Consider it as Jupiter is ruling your 12th house, but it is also your trinal lord. So this is going to give some sort of strength to this Jupiter to give fruits to Aries Ascendant. And this becomes important. Okay, so Mars is most important planet for Aries Ascendant. Why? Because it is the Kendra house as well as it is the trinal house. But what about the 8th lord? What about the lordship of the Mars in the 8th house? So this makes Mars, this Mars has to be examined with the association. Okay, so Mars can give great results, but it has to be considered with the other planet it is associated with through aspects, conjunction, or exchange, or any kind of association. What do I mean by that? For Aries Ascendant, Moon is ruling the 4th house of the chart, and it is not ruling any other house. Okay, so if Mars, which is the Kendra house and the trine house, conjunct with Moon, it can give good results. Why? Apart from being the 8th house, it is now conjunct the other Kendra house lord, which makes it stronger, which makes it even more able to give results. Always remember, or you have Mars conjunct with Sun. Now what's happening? Your first lord is conjunct with the 5th lord. It's amazing. Okay, Mars is also ruling the 8th house, but now the Mars being associated with the 5th lord, the trinal lord, it becomes stronger. Now forget about the 8th house. It might bring in the difficulties and all those things. For that you have to look for the dashas as well. But that 5th house association of Mars is going to give you good results. Now again, the placement of the Mars into the houses will change the dynamic to some extent. Like if you have Mars and Sun into the 1st house, it will make 5th house exalted into the 1st house into the 1st house, 8th lord into the 1st house, two of the most benefic houses, planets coming into the ascendant, Now things will change. Now things won't be same. Or you have Mars and Sun conjunction into the fifth house, excuse me, into the 10th house, into the sign of uh, Capricorn, which makes it exalted Mars, aspecting the ascendant. Now things won't be same. If Rahu comes into this equation, things won't be same. But as a general rule, the first thing when you're judging whether this planet will give me good results or will give me, challenging results, you have to look for these points. Another thing, what if you have Sun and Moon conjunction for Aries Ascendant? It works great for Aries Ascendant. If you have Sun and why Sun and Moon? Because Sun and Moon rules only one Rashi. They don't rule any other Rashi. So when for Aries Ascendant we have conjunction of Sun and Moon, it is the conjunction of the Kendra house, the fourth house for the Aries Ascendant Cancer, the Lord of it Moon, and the fifth Lord Sun getting conjunct. Now this is something great because they are not ruling any other houses. So we have one Kendra house Lord conjunct with another trine house Lord. Okay, but again you have to look for the strength of those planets as well, and the placement will change the dynamics again. Okay, so when you guys ask me in comment section, I have so and so planet, and whether it will be good or bad, I say I don't know, because I have to look for so many things. I have to look for, and even then we have not fine-tuned this with dasha and nakshatra. Always remember this. But so the question, which is the best combination for the Aries Ascendant? Just comment down below, what do you think would be the best combination for Aries Ascendant? Just put that into the comment section. Let me see what you have understood up till now. Meanwhile, we will go to the comment community tab and take the questions. Okay, so the first question I received was Paromita Sadhukan. For Aries Ascendant, how does Rahu in the fourth house go with the mother when the Lord of the fourth house, Moon, is placed into the sixth house, conjunct with Saturn and Jupiter? Do they have a strong love for their mother? Again, a lot of things are happening here. When you have Rahu into the fourth house, you have to look at these from a different perspective. Like if you are a woman and if you have Rahu into the fourth house, I recommend you to go and watch my fourth house Rahu video, wherein we have talked about the how you have to be true to your emotions, because Rahu is an illusion. Fourth house is the house of your emotions and what you feel, and now you don't know what you feel, and that's what confuses you, and that's what makes you work. That's what makes you feel good when you work. Okay, and in this you also have Saturn and Jupiter, and the fourth lord is into the sixth house again. Okay, so I'm not able to visualize it right now, but when it is involved into the sixth house, it brings in kind of a self effort, because it is third from the fourth, and it also can bring in some kind of arguments as well with the mother. But you have to be true to your emotion is the key for you. And when you have Rahu into the fourth house for Aries Ascendant, it becomes even more important for you to be true to your feelings, because now you have Rahu into the sign of Cancer, which is all about the emotions. Always remember. Next question is Chirag Mehta. For Aries Ascendant, 12th Lord Jupiter is in 11th house in Aquarius. 12th lord is 12th from itself. Does it mean Jupiter will bring in gains from the 12th house matters like foreign lands, or does Jupiter will bring loss of 12th house matters like foreign lands? It can bring in both. Okay, that you have to look for the other uh, planets in your chart as well, because Jupiter, as we discussed for Aries ascendant, is not only ruling the 12th house, but it is also ruling the 9th house of your horoscope. So now it will bring in the result based on its association. Okay, now if this Jupiter, we are talking about the best conjunction for the Aries ascendant, and when you have Jupiter conjunct with Sun, it can bring in the best result for Aries ascendant, because both the trine lords get conjunct, and Jupiter will give results as per its association. Now it is associating with the 5th lord, which is benefic for Aries. Now it will give good results. Or even better, if Jupiter is conjunct with the Jupiter is conjunct with Moon. Now the trine lord Jupiter is conjunct with the Moon, which is the Kendra lord. Now the trinal lord is conjunct with another Kendra lord. Now Jupiter, being the 12th lord, will still give good results just because of its association with another Kendra lord. Okay, and for your question, yes, it can bring in gains from the foreign land because it is 12th to the 12th. You should go and watch the Bhavat Bhaum series and watch the 12th house Bhavat Bhaum video, wherein we have discussed about this concept in depth. But yes, it can also mean the signification of the loss to loss, as well as loss from the foreign source as well. The gains, you have to look for the Bhavat Bhaum for this answer. Now, next question I have received is from Vartik Agarwal. Vartik, for Aries ascendant, Rahu is alone in the 4th house, no aspect, and Ketu is alone in the 4th house, aspected by Jupiter. Okay, I suppose you have Rahu into the 10th, Rahu into the 4th house, and Ketu into the 10th house. Again, for you, you have to be true to yourself. What you feel is more important to you. Don't do things. The 10th house, Ketu. Don't do things, and you might feel that once you are doing something, you will feel better. But don't fall in trap for that. Do only things which will make you happy, which will make you, which will inspire you. Because 4th house is the house of your feelings. If you're not doing things, the 10th house Ketu, without having a feeling which you're confused about due to the 4th house Rahu, you might end up losing interest into what you work. And we should not let that happen. So just whenever you're trying to do something, you are great at work. Let me tell you, wherever we have Ketu placed in, we are praised by people for that thing. But we often feel bad about ourselves in that house. So when you have Ketu in the 10th house, you feel like people will think you have a great career. You have the best resources. You're capable of doing so many things. But you yourself will feel that I could have done it better. And that's the trap of Ketu. So you have to focus on Rahu, your feelings. What you feel is far more important to you, or anybody with the Rahu in the 4th house, than the doing things. Don't cling to doing, focus on feeling. Next is Ranjita Reddy. Venus Saturn in the 7th house, Rahu in the 2nd house of Aries ascendant. How it will be marriage life and when will they get married? Please Sir, explain. Thank you. I cannot tell you when they can get married because it all depends upon the dasha. It's more about the dasha. Okay. But let's talk about the Venus Saturn conjunction. Venus is ruling the second house and the seventh house, and Saturn is ruling the 10th house and the 11th house. Now, 11th house can give good results, and it can also bring in challenges as well. Okay. But when Venus is conjunct with Saturn, is in seventh house for Aries ascendant. Seventh house is the sign of Libra. Now Venus in its own sign, and Saturn gets exalted. And the best thing about the Saturn and Venus conjunction is they bring in the mature partner, they bring in the responsible partner, bring in the loyal partner. Okay. And Rahu is not aspecting this conjunction, so you don't have to worry about it. So it might delay the relationship because of the uh, placement of Saturn here. But again, look for the dashas for the timing always. Don't just rely upon I have Saturn in the 11th house or 7th house, I will have delay in marriage. No, you can get an early marriage. Okay, but that won't work. We don't know what's going to happen. So always look for dashas. Your chart will show you what, and your dashas will tell you when is the key. Now let's talk about 9-6. What does physical appearance of an Aries ascendant looks like? They are middle stature and energetic and all the martial things you can see in the Aries ascendant. But again, when you are just looking at the ascendant, what if you have Rahu into the first house, close degrees to the ascendant degrees? Now things won't be same. What if you have Saturn in the first house, debilitated, close degrees to this? Now the appearance won't be the same. Now you won't see that energy. What if you have Mercury in the first house where it gets the directional strength? Now that intelligence of that person will be evident in his personality. Now it won't be the same. Okay, so you always have to look for it. But if you want to know more about it, these are the more of a martial people with the middle stature and stout body. Okay, all the martial things you can expect from Aries ascendant for the appearance. Venus in Next is Rohan Rane. Venus in Aries. So when you have Venus in Aries for Aries ascendant, it comes into the first house of the horoscope. Okay, and now it's ruling the second house and the seventh house. Second lord into the first house makes person take care of their body with their own resources, and now it is aspecting the seventh house. Okay, but from the Aries ascendant perspective, this is ruling the seventh house, one of the Kendra house, but is ruling the Maraka house, the second house. Seventh house is also one of the Maraka house. So you have to look for, again, the association, the aspects of Jupiter. You have to always look for where is Jupiter and Moon for Aries ascendant. Next, Divya K. Aries ascendant, how does Sun and Mercury work in second house and Rahu and Saturn in the seventh house of the birth chart? I think we have already talked about Sun and Mercury and Rahu and Saturn in the seventh house of the chart. Saturn in the seventh house does great. Now it is ruling the one of the Kendra house, and it is into the Kendra house exalted, but it is associated with the Rahu. When you have Rahu conjunct with the seventh house, you have to be careful. You have to respect the other person. Now this Saturn will help you to be grateful that you have other person in life. You have a companion in your life, because when you have Ketu in the first house, you feel like you can do it yourself, and which is to some extent true. You're capable of doing so many things on your own. So the problem with it that is you don't really appreciate other person in your life. That's where you have to work. And when you don't appreciate other person, that other person gets confused, like whether that person is interested in you or not. So you have to be grateful for other person. Now let's move. Another question from Divya. Okay, Aries ascendant, moon in the 10th house. Is that bad for mother? No, absolutely not, because fourth lord is going into the 10th house. The Kendra lord, the fourth house, is going into the 10th house. Okay, always look for the association of Jupiter or Sun. Now it will change things for you as well. Next is Paulami Ghosh. I'm Aries ascendant with Sun in the first house, Jupiter in the seventh, and Saturn in the 11th house. How will planet position and aspect help me in my career? How would it will help you in your career? I don't know. Why? Because we have to look for the dashas. But as a static potential, let's talk about that. You have Sun exalted into the first house of your horoscope. Okay. Now the fifth lord, Sun, is getting exalted into the first house and is aspected by Jupiter. What is Jupiter? We just talked about the association of Jupiter and Sun. Jupiter needs the association of benefit to give great results. Now here Jupiter is getting aspect from the Sun, his friend. Jupiter is placed into its enemy sign of Libra, but is getting aspect from the Venus, excuse me, from the Sun, exalted Sun, from the first house. Okay, now it will improve the situation for the Jupiter. And what was the next thing he asked? She asked, and Saturn is in 11th. When you have Saturn is in 11th house, it aspects the first house. Now it will make you a disciplined person, it will make you a well-directed person, and it will make you work on yourself. But how it will manifest into your career, I don't know. Okay, so always look for the other planets, what other planets are doing, what are the lordships, where other planets are getting conjunct, where is Mars, where is, Moon, Rahu. Everything will change. But this association is a good association of Jupiter and Sun for Aries ascendant. Now let's talk about this question. Priyanka, how to blank chart predict Aries ascendant? There is no point in doing blank chart, because we have already made a video on Aries ascendant. You can go and watch what would be the foundation of the Aries ascendant. Okay, and when you have Aries ascendant, uh, that foundation won't change. Like you have Aries in the first house, so the person will have that energy into the first house. But all the planets, all the lords will decide whether this person will have that energy, whether that energy is getting manifested or that person is getting lazy. Okay, if I say that Aries is the energetic sign and all the martial things, but if you have some impact of the Saturn or any other planet or the sixth lord, or things will change and might make you a lazy person or overactive person, hyperactive person, and things will change. So I usually don't blank predict things, because planets will change the dynamic. But if you want to know more about Aries ascendant, go and watch my ascendant series and Aries ascendant. Shantanu Mukherjee, Santanu Mukherjee, a separate series is gonna come. That would be really special. Uh, you mean separate series on Aries ascendant, and considering everything, it might come, but before that we have to cover so many things. We have to cover planets through houses, planets through signs, then we have to cover the lords, then we have to cover the aspects, then we have to cover the nakshatra. We haven't talked about D9 or Varga charts. We have to talk about them. We have to talk about Gemini astrology. We have to talk about the karakas. There are so many things to cover. So yes, we might cover this, but not in a near future. Next is, hello, it's the Martian. Aries Ascendant, Sun and Saturn conjunct in the 11th house. What are your thoughts on this conjunction for Aries? Aries Ascendant, Mars in the 10th house. Capricorn, Mars is in Cancer Namansha. Is this Mars still strong? Okay. Aries Ascendant, he has Sun and Saturn. Now, Saturn is ruling the Kendra and 11th house, and Sun is ruling one of the trine house. So the trinal lord conjuncts with the Kendra house and is into the 11th house. So traditionally, Saturn and Sun are enemy, and they bring in the delay, difficulty with your father, especially because Saturn is the son of the sun. Okay, but they don't get along well now, but they have the planet. Okay, so these things are great for Saturn sun conjunction. Next is Namaste. What is the name? Shanti Om. Namaste. I would like to know about Sun and Moon conjunction in Aries. I'm Pisces ascendant. Okay, so I consider it as Sun and Moon conjunction for Aries ascendant. Okay, when again, it's a best combination for Aries ascendant. We are not going to talk about Pisces ascendant. I'm sorry, we are not going to talk about Pisces ascendant today. But if you have Sun and Moon conjunction into the Aries ascendant, it was great because of the lordship of the one Kendra house and one trine house, and they are not ruling any other houses, not 6, 8, 12, any houses. So it does great. Okay, now let's move to the questions from the chat. Things are getting faster. As an Aries ascendant, why the past 2 weeks have I had so many trials and tribulations? What lessons am I being taught? Uh, I I really can't answer this because it all depends upon transits and dashas for specifically, because if you look at the transits right now, everything is happening into the 10th house for Aries ascendant, but that's too generic. Don't go for that. Okay, now what, let's start this. I have 3 planets, Prithvi Ganesh. I have 3 planets are in Digbala, Mars, Moon, Jupiter. It's really good for me. Mars, Moon, and Jupiter. You mean they are conjunct? If Mars is conjunct with Moon or is conjunct with Jupiter, it is great for Aries ascendant. Rahu, Venus, second house. Life is too short. Rahu, Venus, second house. Please. Rahu and Venus in the second house, in the sign of Taurus, you have to be, you might overindulge into the Venusian things because Rahu amplifies things. You have to look for the aspect of the benefits on this conjunction. But again, this is a great conjunction to have and work on the Venusian projects, Venusian creative projects. Your views, Venus conjunct Jupiter in the 5th house, aspected by Mars in the 11th house. Now, whenever you have any conjunction, always look for which houses it is ruling. It is now, this question is from Francis Tio. Okay, you have Venus conjunct Jupiter. What is Venus? It is ruling the 2nd and the 7th, and Jupiter is ruling the 9th and the 12th. Okay, for any planet which is ruling 8th or 12th has to be associated with a benefic planet for that ascendant to give the best results. Okay, now Jupiter is conjunct with the Venus, which is also ruling the Maraka houses, the 2nd and 7th, and Jupiter itself is ruling the 9th and the 12th. Okay, but it is aspected by Mars. Now the association of the first house with the 9th house, with the 12th house, with the 2nd house, with the 7th house is going to help you. It is going to change the potential for the Venus Jupiter conjunction, and it is going to give you good results. Lalit Kumar, I'm Aries Ascendant. I have Jupiter in the 7th house, Moon in the 1st house. Is it good placement for Jupiter in Libra sign? Jupiter in Libra sign, as we discussed, is into its enemy sign, but Jupiter associated with Moon through aspect is great combination for Aries Ascendant, and it will give you good results. So association of the 9th lord with the trinal lord with another Kendra house again. So it's the best combination. Now, if you have the Jupiter conjunct with the Moon, it also creates Gajakeshri Yoga. And this yoga works best for Aries Ascendant. It does great for Aries Ascendant because of the lordship of Kendra and Trine. Career for Rahu and Venus, Taurus, please. Life is too short. It's not possible for me at this moment to really, tell you what exactly would be the career. Indrani Ward. Good night, all. What I know, born December. My ruling planet may be Guru, Karma, Dharma, still paying. Okay. Chitra, I'm Aries Ascendant. I have Venus, Sun, and Mercury in the 12th house. It's interesting. You have Venus, Sun, and Mercury. Mercury is ruling the 3rd and the 6th. When the 6th lord goes into the 12th house, it creates a Viparit Raj Yoga conjunct with the 5th lord. So many things are happening. Do you have any specific question around that? Kongara Venkatesh, for Aries Ascendant, is Moon and Sun is in Pisces good with Jupiter and Ketu 9th house? Moon and Sun in Pisces. See, Moon and Sun conjunction is a great conjunction for Aries Ascendant. Now it is placed into the 12th house. Okay, now the 4th lord is into the 12th house, and the 5th lord is into the 12th house. You mean you have Ketu and Jupiter as well into the 12th house? Live tomorrow with Taurus Ascendant at 7:30 a.m. IST. Sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibrations. See you in the next videos. Love and peace. I'll share the link into the community tab. Just share your questions there. We'll cover those questions. Namaste.